Hi, welcome. Today we're going to talk about how to add images and links. This is the second part of our HTML and CSS for Beginners course. Let's dive in. So in the earlier lesson, in lesson 1, we talked about what tags are and just some common tags. We talked about how in HTML you can write these tags and then boom, your browser, you get like this lovely thing here. So we talked about how every tag does something specific. For example, an H1 tag makes this hello world text really large and thick, and it creates like this spacing in between. My paragraph tag creates like a text on the next line, it's like a paragraph, adds some spacing as well. And how the strong tag adds some bold, and that's why my name is bolded, for example. This is great. So we've been kind of getting ourselves familiar with these tags. But now that we have some text working, some formatting working, what about pictures? What if I want to add this lovely sunflower picture onto my page? Like, how do I code that? Because, as you know, images are worth 1,000 words. So we got to add some nice images to make our website look good, right? To do that, we have yet another tag. We're gonna see a lot of tags here. There's many tags that do many things. For images, we're gonna use a tag called img, image for short. Interesting about this tag though is that unlike all the other tags, it doesn't have like the closing tag. It doesn't have like the slash, h1 closing tag. It just one of those. There's some tags that don't have closing tag, and img is just one of them. All right, cool. So we have this image tag. So how can I specify like what picture, what image I want to actually load in? This is where I want to introduce you to another concept in HTML. This is where something called attributes come in handy. So this image tag needs some more information, right? It needs some more data, some more information, like what image in my computer. I probably have like thousands of images saved. Like which image can I load it up? Like which image should I show? This is actually what it's going to look like. We're going to use something called src. Look at that, equals, and then this is the name of my picture that I want to use. This is what we call attributes in HTML. So HTML tags, some of them, not all of them, have required attributes like this, and this one as well, src and alt. Notice a space. It says img space, and here's my attribute, source attribute, space. Here's another attribute, alt, and then we close the tag with the brackets here. Anytime you see something like this, like inside a tag with equal sign, and then there's like quotes, these are what we call attributes. Some tags have them, some tags don't. Some are required, some are not. In an image tag, you have to have a src attribute and an alt attribute. You must have these two, or else your HTML is going to be invalid, things aren't going to work, blah, blah, blah. The source attribute, as you can kind of see, that's the attribute to tell the image tag what picture you're going to load. And then the alt attribute is for more of a description of the picture. So I wrote 2 sunflowers here, probably not the best description, but so what this does is this alt attribute is really important for two major reasons. Number one, if you're in an environment where your internet's kind of spotty and it's not loading very fast, and so the image can't load very well, you're actually going to see the description kind of pop up where the image is, so you can see that even if the image doesn't load, you know what the image is supposed to be. Secondly, for people that are visually impaired that are visiting your website, even though they can't see the actual image, they typically use like a screen reader that reads your website for them, and they're going to read the alt attribute to tell them what this image is. It's going to read it for them. So it's pretty neat. So very important, these 2 attributes. We're going to look at a lot of other attributes, but these are the attributes for our image tag. Alrighty, so let's try this out. The best way to learn this is to just try it. So let's try it out. So I'm using Edstem again. This is our online editor where we've been writing some code, and then when I write some code, it shows up right away. It's kind of nice. I'm using this. You're welcome to use CodePen. CodePen is also free, where you can just write some text, some code, and then it's going to show up right away. So it's just really fast. I don't need to install anything. So that's why I'm using an online editor. But you're welcome to use, if you're already familiar with some editors like Visual Studio Code or Sublime Text that you download and you want to use that, feel free to do that. In a future lesson, there will be I will be covering how to use Visual Studio Code, and in the future we will exclusively use Visual Studio Code. But for now, since we're just starting out, I just want to make it as easy as possible. We're just gonna write code in an online editor like this and just make things work and not worry about installing like all these things. Okay. All right, cool. So we have our Pikachu website that we're going to continue from lesson 1, and let's go ahead and add an image. To add an image, we're going to write img, just like that. The image tag, there's no closing img tag, so there you go. And then here we're going to write our src attribute =, quotes, okay? And notice there's a space here, all right? Very important. You want a space in between every attribute. There you go, just like that. Okay, now let's go ahead and add an image. So there's actually 2 ways you can add an image, 2 different ways you can use the source here. The first way is if I already have it, if I already have the file saved onto my computer. There we go. I have a Pikachu image already on here. I can use this for this online workspace. I do need to upload it real quick, so let me upload it in here real quick. There we go. Oh, I think I already did it for me. Okay, so because my file and the image live in the same place, I can simply just say Pikachu.png, and there you go. There is our cute little Pikachu right over here. Awesome. And I should add a little description. I'll just put like Pikachu, I think he's jumping. Okay, something like that. Cool. Very, very nice. Another way I can add an image, I'm going to add let's add another one. I like to close my image tag here. Another way we can add an image is if I didn't own this image myself, you can also actually use a URL. For example, here's, in my Wikipedia here, this image lives on the Wikipedia site. So there's typically any images that already live on the internet, you can get the image address, like a URL, copy image address. And then if I put it in the source right here, it says, okay, I'm going to use Command V to paste. There it is. So take a look at that. You can also, this is called an absolute path. If the image already exists on another page, and you have the address, it'll technically work. You do need to watch out for like copyright things. Images are very protected, and then also when you're linking another image from someone else's website, you're technically using their resources. You're making calls to their servers. So not always the best way to do it this way, especially if you're not sure. But I just want to show you that you can add a URL like this to add an image like this as well. Very cute, right? There are other attributes in here, for example, that images have. For example, there's like width, and then you can like actually mess with the width and things like that, height, things like that. But typically when we want to resize something, we don't typically do it in the HTML. I mean, we could. We're going to use a different language for that. That's where CSS will come in. But I did want to show you, if you want to just do a quick change your widths and stuff, you can totally do it like that as well. Okay, cool. So that's images in a nutshell for you. And also another thing, right now our file system is pretty simple. I just have like a index file and like a image. But later on, when you have like a lot of images on your website, and you have a lot of HTML files on your website, and there's just things get kind of unruly. So typically we like to add folders and to keep our files organized. So typically a lot of times we have like an images folder, and then we have our images kind of in there. So there you go, there's my images folder, and then there's Pikachu inside the images folder, and then there's my index file. So this should actually no longer work anymore. There you go. Now it doesn't work, right? Oh, notice that's our Pikachu jumping is our alternative text here. So that's great. That's the alternative text is very important to have. So for things like this, you can add our like this. You can say, all right, look in my images folder. In that folder is Pikachu. So we call these relative paths. You can you can add an image based on where your HTML file is. Based on the location. So images folder, and then the name of the image, for example. Cool. Speaking of a little more about images, there are a lot of different formats that you can use. Here's some common ones: GIF, GIF. You can add GIF or GIF formats onto your website. Like you know what a GIF is, sorry, right? You can add JPEGs. They're usually a smaller file size, but they really optimize the picture so that it's smaller, so it's not as like crisp sometimes. And you also have like PNGs. PNGs are great for like transparent backgrounds, logos. A lot of logos use PNG. You can also use SVGs. SVGs are great for like icons, vector graphics, and things like that. So these are not the only ones, but these are the common types of files you can use on your website. So like here's your .png we're using, .png we're using. So just FYI. Great. That's images in a nutshell for you. If you have any questions about images, feel free to leave a comment, and we'll try to help you out. Next thing I want to show you are links. Okay, now we got images, cool. Our images are looking nice. My web page is looking a little more web pagey. What about links, right? Links are such an integral part to websites. And this is Wikipedia, for example. You can go through like a link rabbit hole. You can be like, oh yeah, Nintendo. It links you to another page. You go to Nintendo, you start reading about it. You're like, oh yeah, I remember the Wii. The Wii was so fun. You go to the Wii, you start reading about that, right? And then you're like, oh yeah, what happened to like this, the designer, Miyamoto, and then you get into that, right? Anyway, this is typical Wikipedia link rabbit hole kind of thing. But anyway, in a website, you can't help but have links to other things, other websites, other pages, or even within your page as well, right? So let's add some links. Cool. To add a link, there's another tag for this. Yes, there's a tag for everything. The tag is A. A is short for anchor link. And notice the anchor link does have a closing tag. Let's just write some text in here, like click me or something. There's my click me right over here. It's not doing anything though, right? I can't actually click it. There's no URL or anything like that. That's once again where where an attribute is required. One more time, we have an attribute called href that's required for links. So you can add the link in here. So if I wanted a link to Miyamoto here, I can, let's go back and just add that there. There you go. Click me. Now notice the click me is like underlined. It's what's links look like. So if I click it right now, it's going to take our page to, there you go, the Miyamoto page. Awesome. As you can see right now, the links and all the images are like all kind of in one line. If you ever want to move the link to the next line, the easiest way to do that is you could put a paragraph tag around it, and then it makes sense, a link in a paragraph. So there we go. And what else? Yes, this anchor link does have another attribute that's useful. It's called target, like this, target. And then I'm going to do link. And what that does, see, each attribute does something specific. You could think of attributes as they enhance a tag, they add additional things, they make your tags better. So what that one does is when I click on this link, instead of opening it in the same page, it's going to prompt a new tab to open. That's better, right? Usually when you click a link, you want the user to not go away from your current page. You want them to just like open a new tab. So that's what target is for. So yet another attribute. So watch out for these attributes. They're very useful. They enhance, they add things to your tags. And right now I'm just kind of like splitting out attributes and tags for you, but I do want to let you know that there are a lot of resources out there. This is just one of them. W3 Schools is a common one. Here's my image tag, for example, and it actually tells you, okay, these are all the attributes that this image tag uses. The alt is the alternative text, height, loading. Wow, there's a lot. SRC, the one we talked about, specific path of the image. So if you're ever wondering, like, okay, what else do these tags have? You can simply Google it, like, a tag attributes or something like that, and then you can actually see, like, okay, these are all the attributes that an anchor link has. Well, actually has a lot, right? W3 Schools is a good resource. It's not my favorite resource, but it's simple, very straightforward, very good for beginners. There's also MDN is another very good resource that tells you a lot more in depth of what the anchor link is. Here's the attributes, and they kind of like describe a little bit more in detail about what it does. So MDN is a little more, that's one of my favorite resources because it's a little more detailed. All right, so there you go. That is anchor and links and images. We will talk more in the next lesson. See you then.